All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Partida with Home Again LA, and today we have Taylor. Is it Bersini or Bercini?
Bersini,
Oh,
perfect.
Bersini. Okay. With Universal City Studios Credit Union, and today's topic is going to be strategies for successful savings. So I'll go ahead and pass it along to Taylor.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa and Home Again LA for having us. As always, really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone for being here tonight. My name is Taylor. Like you said, I'm with Universal City Studios Credit Union. We're a local credit union. Our main branch is in downtown Burbank. Feel free to stop by at any time or ask us any questions. So my role is community and engagement liaison. So I'm out in the community doing stuff like this. You'll see me out at events, and I'm all over the place. So yeah, tonight we're going to talk about success strategies for successful saving. I want to always say, feel free to stop me at any time and ask questions. I tend to just kind of power through. I want to get all the information out there to you guys, and especially for tonight, I want to make sure everyone gets off the line and can watch the USA game tonight if they want for the World Cup. So I'll try to keep things brief, but at any time, if you want to throw any questions into the chat, or if you want to jump on off mute and ask me to repeat something or clarify something, or you just have a question, you just let me know. Okay, with that said, let's get into it. So, we're going to talk about a few different things, saving account types, saving for specific purposes, 6 steps specifically for successful savings. Um, So, savings account types. So there's a lot of different savings accounts. So you have your just traditional savings account, which if you open an account at any financial institution, that's the one that they'll likely have you open first. It usually has some interest, a lot of them, especially nowadays. If you just open a standard one at a credit union or somewhere else, it's probably going to be something like 0.1%. That's completely normal. It's just earning some interest, some dividends on the money that you have in there, but it's generally a place where you would put money, put some sort of savings there. But it doesn't always have to be used specifically as a savings, but that's what it's called. So, like for us, basically, and all credit unions and banks have different entry openings and different things like that. But for us, there's a $5 minimum deposit that would be required to open, and then a one-time fee. So basically, you would pay the one-time fee to open the account, and then that $5 would go on hold for the entire membership. And then you would get that back if you ever close your account. So that's to open any sort of account. Balances of $100 or over will earn that interest. So whatever the interest rate is for that savings account, you'll need at least $100 in there usually to earn interest. That's pretty standard across the industry. So then there's these things called high yield savings account. Now I will say usually those are going to be a lot of the bigger financial institutions that offer these, and especially the higher rates. They're going to be the ones like Capital One at times, Chase, places like that. But there are credit unions and other places that do offer these. They're similar to savings account, but it offers a higher interest rate. And usually these are going to be variable. So for instance, you might see a deal that Capital One is doing a 4% high yield savings account, but it's going to be variable. So, in a month later or maybe a year later, that could drop to 3, 2.5. But it is going to be earning usually more interest than your standard savings account. Um, so that kind of elaborates a little bit on what I was saying. The good part about interest, and especially when you have a higher APR, a higher APY that you're going to get from a savings account is compounding interest. What's great about that is if you put in $50, not only in a month are you going to get paid, let's say it's 3%, you're going to get 3% of that. So let's say if it's $50, it's a dollar 50. But then if you keep that money in there, then that interest is going to compound. So then the next time that you get paid interest, because you've already got that money paid out to you, you're gonna get even more money off that, more money off that. So basically it compounds over time and it grows. So that's the importance of saving early, and even if it's just a little bit, putting a little bit of money away, and then that money will slowly grow and grow and grow. And that's how retirement works. That's how, long-term savings work, is that compound interest that really helps you out in the long run. So then there's something called a club savings account. So like we have one at our credit union that's a holiday club. So basically what that is it's designated for something specific. So the way that ours works is you can put money in throughout the year, you get a higher interest rate, and then you get it paid out at a certain time. So some people will do that for a vacation, some people will do that for the holiday season, but these are more with set goals in mind, and you usually get a higher interest rate because it's kind of locked up a bit, but it's helping people work towards a goal where you can kind of put money away over time, and then when the holidays come up, you'll get that money paid out and you don't have to stress during the holiday time of, oh, what am I gonna do? I want to get all these gifts. I might not have the money available. You can kind of save throughout the year, and it makes those goals a little bit more attainable. Um, so that basically again kind of builds out what I was saying. And then there's certificates, which if you've certificates or share deposits, share certificates, basically what this is going to be something where you get a higher interest rate for a certain amount of money. And these are also called CDs. I want to throw that out there because that's a word that some people might have heard before. CDs, you go into a credit union or bank and they say, hey, we have these share certificates, we have these CDs. Basically, what happens is you say, hey, I want to get a 12-month CD. And for that 12 months, your money is earning a lot more interest than usual. It might be 3%, some places 4%, 5%, whatever that might be, whatever the rate is that that financial institution is offering. So you're going to get really high interest rate, which is good. Now, the only catch to these is they will oftentimes not allow you to withdraw it without penalty. That's usually kind of the deal with CDs and share certificates, is that you get this super high interest rate for a period of time, but during those 12 months or, sometimes 7 months, 11 months, whatever they are, if you take that money out or try to put money in, you'll be hit with a penalty, and it will usually be, paying like 3 months of interest or something like that. So you want to be careful. The only time I would put money in a CD, which is what I always recommend at our credit union, is if you there's about a 90% chance or even 80% chance that you're not going to need that money within this set amount of time. So it's not something that, if it's part of your normal income or something that you feel like there's a good chance that you might need to pull out, I would leave that in a normal savings account or something that you have a little bit more flexibility and liquidity. If you want to just kind of put something away that you're like, I got this check for $5,000. I don't want it to just be sitting in my savings account earning limited interest. I want it to earn a little more, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to save it for a car, payment down the line or something like that towards some sort of savings goal. Then is a great time to put it in a CD or a share certificate. So they range in terms. Some of them are as early as 3 months, so 90 days. Some of them can go all the way out to 3 years, 36 months. It's all depending on the finance institution. But usually there also is a minimum to open it. So you're usually not going to open a CD or share certificate for $2 or something like that. It'll usually be around $500 that if you have, so it's usually for, like I said, a chunk of money, $500 up that you're not really having any intention of using in the short term. So then there's something called money market accounts. And for us, these are our options that we have. These are going to have more higher interest rates and higher payouts than your standard savings accounts, usually lower than CDs. But what's good about them is they are flexible. So you have the option to put money in or take money out. But they usually have minimums on how much. Again, if you have, $5, $10, $100, you're probably not gonna have the option to open these. Um, but they also sometimes have minimums on withdrawals. So let's say maybe you can only take out $100, a minimum of $100. You can take out as much as you want, but it needs to be at least $100. Um, but these options, the CDs and the money markets, or a lot of times if you have a savings. So let's say you're trying to save up for a house, or let's say you're trying to save up for a down payment on a car or anything. and you know you just have 5, 10, $15,000 maybe sitting in your savings account, and you're trying to say, hey, how can I earn the most money that I can on that? How can I earn the most interest on that? You're going to want to look into the money markets. You're going to want to look into the CDs, high yield savings accounts, those type of things. So those are the kind of the options that we're talking about here. Um, a lot of financial institutions will, or some financial institutions will offer something that's a health savings account. So that allows you to set aside money for specific medical expenses. There may be limitations on who can open one, how much you can save each year, and what the funds are specifically used for. So a lot of times they're very strict because they can only be used for health related things. So just if you are going to do that, make sure like if you foresee some sort of health or medical bills, um I would definitely make sure it's just for that. That's very similar to this. um so the 529 savings account, it's great for saving for kids for college. My only cautionary tale is it can only be used for that. So I just want to put that out there because even myself, I've been thinking, I have a little daughter at home. What's the best way to save for her? Looking into the different methods. And the 529 savings account is great. But then let's say you save up, $10,000 for or $20,000, $30,000 in a perfect world for your kid to go to college. And then they decide college isn't for them. Maybe they want to pursue acting. Maybe they want to pursue a trade school or something else. Maybe they want to go in a completely different route. Um, and that's totally fine. But then there's some tough abilities on how exactly you can use that savings account. So it's a great option, usually has very good interest rates, and you can usually avoid tax benefits and things or tax penalties and different things. So that's great for that. But just try to make sure you realize getting into that it can a lot of times only be used for educational expenses. And then there's retirement. Everyone's probably heard about it in some fashion. There's a lot of different types. If you are interested in learning more specifically about retirements, that's a whole nother beast in itself. They have Roth IRAs, standard IRAs, you have 401ks that you've heard about. You have a bunch of different things that all have different things on pre-tax, post-tax, a lot of different things when you pay the tax here versus now when you take it out. So there's a lot to that. I would suggest setting up a separate meeting with someone on our team if you want to learn more specifically about retirement accounts. But again, my biggest thing for retirement, if possible, as I'll say probably a lot tonight, is start saving early, even if it's a little bit. The power of compounding interest is huge, and if you can start as early as possible, even if it's just a little bit, it's gonna help you out. It's gonna help you out a lot. Retirement is important. We know that, I'm not blind to the fact that it's more of a luxury in terms of obviously paying everyday bills is going to be the priority for a lot of us and most people, especially with the cost of living these days. I'm assuming we all live in California. It's expensive to live and work here. So I totally understand that. But even if you can kind of set up a routine to put away some money every month, every paycheck, whatever it is, it does really help because that interest will grow, that compound over time, and really pay dividends in the long term. But also ask your employer. Ask your employer what their plans are. A lot of times, employers will match your contributions. Maybe it'll be 3%, maybe it'll be 1%, but that's basically free money that every 1% that you contribute, your employer might match, might be 3%. But all all employers are required to offer you a retirement plan in some fashion. So that was a law that went into effect recently in the last few years. So definitely look into that. Ask your employer about it. They can help you set it up. Reach out to your HR team. They should be able to offer that. But like I said, there's a lot of different things that I could talk about for hours. But I'll just go high level there. You're more than welcome to reach out. So one thing that we offer, which is different, this is specifically for our credit union, that I recommend anyone take advantage of. if it's of interest to you. So if you have no credit, bad credit, maybe credit that might be good, but you want it to be better, we have something that's called a credit. I mean, it's a credit builder, essentially a savings account. It's essentially as well a loan. So we call it a credit builder loan. But basically, what it is, it's designed to do two things. Not only do you get to build your credit and build your credit score, build your credit history, but it also helps you build the savings. So essentially, as you can read on the screen, you would put some money away every month. You decide what the terms are. So you can decide if you want it to be for 12 months, it could be for 18 months, all the way up to 48 months. Um, the the interest rate could be as low as 4%. You can do this up to $10,000. And what's great is basically all you're doing is you're putting away money as if it would be a loan payment. You get to pick the monthly payment. So you can say, I just want it to be $10 a month. And then every month you're making a loan payment. And that's how it's reported to the credit bureaus is as a loan payment. Now, let's say what's great about this is it can't hurt your credit in any way. Because let's say you're making a payment, you're making a payment, you're making a payment, and then you miss a payment. You're late, you miss a payment. We would just take that $10 out of what you've saved so far to pay that loan payment. Um, so that's great because it shows that you have an amazing loan history. You've been paying every month, and at the end, whenever your term is up, whatever you've decided your term like this, you get that money. So you get that money as a savings, which is a great way to one, build your credit, and two, save money. It's a huge tool that I think that everyone should save for and plan for. And I think that what's great about this as well is that it can help you reach those goals. People don't always think about how important credit is. Everything you're doing, unfortunately, in your life in terms of a car, home, credit card, um, any sort of even apartment check, a lot of times, if you're getting an apartment, a lot of times they'll check your credit score, and it'll depend on if you get it, if you're not, how much you have to pay. Sometimes they'll bump up the price if you have lower credit scores. It's crazy how much credit scores affect people's day to day, and a lot of times they don't even realize it. So, something like this is a great resource that our credit union specifically can offer. So, take advantage if you would like. So, I'll stop really quick. Does anyone have any questions as of right now? I know I've talked about a lot very quickly, but if not, I'm happy to go on. But does anyone have any questions? Okay. If so, if you think of one later, I'm happy. If you throw it in the chat, happy to go back and talk about anything.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's a question in the chat. No questions. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, so let me just get that. So now saving for specific purposes. So some of the products that we talked about earlier and some of the offerings and resources, they were savings for specific purposes. But this is a little bit more specific that less product based and more personally. So different types of why we save. So the reasons for savings. And again, as I talked about earlier, I understand that savings are going to be a luxury. The bills need to be paid first, and everything else needs to be taken care of before we save. But these are some of the reasons why it's important because a lot of times what happens is we get caught up and we got to pay the bills, got to pay the bills, and then something happens like we get into a car accident and maybe the insurers won't cover the whole thing, or a flat tire, or we need to get new tires, get them rotated, whatever it is. There's things that come up all the time, whether it's medical, car wise, etc., that is that saving for is really important if we can. So it's good to keep these funds accessible. And it's a lot about thinking about your household in particular and thinking about what are the things that come up, and maybe it's something that you can think of in the future, or maybe it's things that you can look back in the past and say, what are some things that pop up every year, every couple years that I wish we just didn't have to stress about when we came up. If we just put away $5 or $10, $20 every month, 2 years from now or 3 years from now, when that expense comes up, we just won't have to stress about it. We won't have this big elephant in the room that we have to address. Um, money can save towards a larger expense as well. Some of the things that I've talked about, whether it's getting a car, whether it's getting a home, whether it's smaller things, like, maybe it's something for your kids. Your kids have really wanted that Xbox or have really wanted a new bike, whatever it is. Smaller things that, when you're looking at a $300 to $500 expense, not everyone has that as disposable income that they can just say, yeah, let me just go ahead and get this. But like I said, $5, $10 a month, that seems a lot more manageable. And maybe by the end of the year, if you're saving, 20 bucks a month, that's going to be, $360 by the end of the year. That's a lot more doable. $20 we might not think about as in terms of a whole paycheck, but $360, that's a little bit of a bigger hit. Um, so, um, so consider separate accounts as well. I think this is another thing that not a lot of people take advantage of, but I've had people at our credit union that will have like 15 different savings accounts because you're able to in most places open at least 5 to 10, but sometimes as many as you want, where you can set aside different savings accounts and name them for each specific saving goal. I know I do this personally. It helps me keep things separate. Some people can split their direct deposit even and say, I want $5. Some employers will say you can do three. Some people you can split it as many ways as you want per account. So you can say, I want $5 going into this account. I want $10 going into here. And if your employer doesn't do it, you can always do it either manually after through the app or through the website and say, okay, every time I get a paycheck, I dole out $5 here. I put $20 here. I put $6 here, or you can have set up automatic transfers on your account a lot of times. Either the bank can do it or you can do it yourself through the app a lot of time or the website. And you can say, I'm gonna put, this amount into each account. So I always love that because I mean my biggest thing, and I'll probably say it a lot tonight as well, is out of sight, out of mind is usually the best saving tactics. I even talk about this with my wife. If you don't see it hit the bank account, you're not thinking about it, but if you see it in that bank account, you're so tempted to use it. It's kind of like chips at the table at poker. If they're sitting in front of you, you want to do it. If you can put some off to the side or put some in your pocket and pretend they don't exist, a lot of times that's a way more effective saving tool. So I will keep hammering that and saying that over and over. Um, so sinking funds, so that's a fixed amount of money you save each month to pay for periodic expenses you know are coming. So it's different than an emergency fund. You can have several sinking funds at once. That's okay and totally encouraged. But it's kind of what I was talking about with the emergency fund, but it's a little different. And these are going to be more of the periodic expenses you know are coming. You're maybe setting aside a fixed amount every month because you know exactly how this is going to be, even if it's something that's, let's say, like your car registration. Every year, it's a certain amount of money, and it's usually not cheap, especially in California. It's not going to be cheap. And so you can say, I know the exact amount that I need to put away every paycheck so when this comes up at that time every year, it can be used for that, and I don't have to stress about it. Back to school supplies for the kids. Um, this is a big one as well. But what do we use? What makes sense? That would be a sinking fund. It's something that we know is coming. You can put a certain money away. You know about how much it might be. Maybe a new backpack, maybe supplies, pencils, pens, notebooks, binders. We all know it. We've either went through it or we have kids and are going through it. There's so much that the kids need. Um, we're actually doing just a side note as well. We're actually doing right now school supply drive for a local high school in Burbank, Monterey High School. They're a continuation school, so we're helping the students and teachers there. So our members can go ahead and get a discount on one of their loans if they go ahead and donate, but we have plenty of members and staff who just donate just for the good of it. So that's something that we help out with the community because we know that it is a fund that people deal with and it's expensive. But That would be a good thing. So what about this? What about a tree falls on your roof? What
Emerg
would that? What was that?
Emergency fund?
100%. So that would be an emergency fund. So that's less. So think of the as you can see those two different differences. The emergency is going to be more related to completely unexpected, you know, break in case of emergency kind of situation. Where the goal savings, that's more for a specific item maybe, and sinking funds are going to be more of a more particular expense that you're gonna potentially need. So holiday gifts and annual travel to grandparents. Anyone have an idea on what that might fall under? So that's going to be that sinking fund. So
Okay.
again, I mean, again, these are very similar terms, so we don't have to know exactly the difference. It's whatever kind of works for you, whatever term you want to use that's going to get you to save. We're just giving you kind of different ways to look at it. If you want to be an extra overachiever when it comes to savings, but family vacation next summer,
That
that's going
would
to be
be, yeah,
yeah,
goals.
sorry, jumped a little early, but goal
No worries.
savings. Lisa's the star student. She knows them all. I know she does. So yeah, so that would be a goal savings. You have a goal, you're gonna put away money for that specific goal. Down payment on a new house, goal savings again. So you're kind of getting, I'll jump through this one as well. New brakes, that could be either. It depends. I mean, that could be something that is more of a set expense if you know you need them, or as emergency fund, it could fall into that as well because if you might happen where something's kind of a little off in your car and your brakes go shot and it wasn't something that you were expecting at all, that would be a little bit more of an emergency. Car repair after an accident, emergency fund. So I'm gonna kind of go through these quickly, but you're kind of getting the idea of the different options that you have and different ways to look at it. So now I'll give you tools. So now I've kind of talked about the need and maybe some of the reasons for saving, but now I'll kind of give you some tools. And what I always say is this is not a rock hard steps that you have to follow. My biggest thing that I can pass along to you is, and I pass along to our members, save in a way that works for you. I'm just kind of give you steps that some people use and that are recommended, but whatever works for you. If you're someone who gets paid in cash, and the best way that you can start saving is to literally put it in a piggy bank or put it under the mattress or whatever works for you, that's totally fine. If you're someone who, great, let me get all my direct deposits set up to 5 different accounts and have it all numbered, and that's the way that works for you, great. If you're someone who works and does it through Excel and likes to get an Excel thing and Excel document, a spreadsheet, and do it all that way, someone like me, that's totally fine as well. But it's completely up to you. These are just some steps to help. So first, create a realistic monthly budget. If I could bold, underline, circle realistic, I would. Um, because I think that's a big thing. Self-awareness, accountability. A lot of times people get into trouble because they go out with the best intentions and they say, I want to save $1 million, or even if it's I want to save $5,000 by the end of the year. I love that goal, but if realistically looking at your income, realistically looking at the day-to-day expenses that you have, that might not be realistic. And then it gets people down about it. And then they're more of it's a negative experience with savings because they're so ambitious, which is great. We love to see that. But if it's not realistic, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. And we want it to be a positive experience. We want it to be like, okay, great. Let's set an attainable goal. And if we go over that, great. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, but make it as realistic as possible. So then you're going to determine what you would like to save for. So put a goal in mind. Now, these things could change. They can be as vague as you want, or it could be something super specific like we talked about. It might be a summer vacation, it might be retirement, it might be for a home, Xbox, whatever that is. Um, so we talked about some of the example of sinking funds. I'll kind of skip that. There's sinking funds, goals, different things that we can set aside to save for specifically. So step three, determine how much you can save each month and how you'd like to break that down. So that's kind of what I was talking about is diving into it a little more. How much realistically do we think we can save this month? It might be $10. I mean, I always tell people start small. Start small and work up from there. Might be $5 a month, but even if that's a dinner at the end of the year, a Christmas dinner that you say, you know what, we're just gonna each save, me and my significant other are each gonna save $5 a month. By the end of the year, if we each do that, that's $240. That's not nothing. I mean, that's a nice dinner that if you are maybe even working paycheck to paycheck, $5 is probably not going to break the bank. Um, $10 is probably not going to break the bank. And if you just do $10 a month each, I mean it's gonna be $240 for the year. And that'll be that'll definitely be a lot. You get to go out to a nice fancy dinner maybe or take the kids somewhere nice, whatever it is. So then how you break that up? So maybe you know that you have a lot of expenses in the first half of the month, a lot of payments, a lot of rent and different things like that come out in that first paycheck. If you get paid twice a month, a lot of times it is that one where it's the first of the month, maybe the 14th of the month, maybe second, third, depending on holidays. Like a lot of expenses I know personally come out in the beginning of the month. So maybe you don't save any in the first half, in the first paycheck, and maybe the $10 comes out from your second paycheck. Or maybe you do 5 and 5. Or maybe you do 8 and 2. I mean, you can break it up however you want, but people a lot of times get stuck of, oh man, like I get that first paycheck and I just can't save. Well, realistically, take a look at your situation and see what works for you and see what makes sense. Um,
Leslie says she has a holiday account, only $20.
That's great. I love that. And that's why, and that's one of the things I want to say. First of all, thank you so much for sharing, Leslie. I love that. That's amazing. But even that, you said only $20. Don't
It's
sell yourself
something.
short. I mean, people do, a lot of people have no savings. A lot of people do nothing. Like you are making a proactive choice to save. So props to you. Star, you get a cookie, everything. Props to you. Love what you're doing. If you have any questions, happy to talk more. But yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Don't sell yourself short. Any steps toward it is fantastic. Um, yes, Leslie, I don't know if you guys saw, but she said I have them take it out of my account so I don't see it in my check. It's what I said. See it, set it and forget it. Don't look at it. Pretend like it doesn't exist. Pretend like someone just docked your pay $20 and now you gotta live off that. Whatever you gotta do to rationalize it to yourself, I love it. I will always be a supporter of that. Um, I've found the most success in that and when our members do it. So this is kind of a sample. So breaking it down, annual expense. So let's say, car maintenance is $850. You're expecting in your budget, okay, about every year we spend about $850. But let's say that's all in one. Let's say you might have something that two tires go out, or maybe all four tires go out. You go over some spikes, whatever it is. I don't know. You're drag racing in your personal life. I don't know. You're going over four spikes, and all your tires are done. Let's say it's $850 or $400. You might sit there and be like, I don't know how I'm gonna afford this, but you could have been saving $71 a month, which seems a lot more manageable. And then when that expense comes up, it's it's just a breath of fresh air where you don't have to stress about it. And these are kind of some other sample ones where it's like I talked about, car insurance or car registration that comes out, car registration that comes out once a month, holidays, buying gifts every year. That's not something most of the time, that's not something that changes. We all it's gonna come. The holidays, we're already halfway through the year. I can't believe it. I was just talking to my coworker about that. It's gonna be the Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then Christmas before we know it and it'll be the first of the year 2027 again. So it comes up like and especially at the end of that year, we know how quickly the end of the year goes. So that kind of stuff, a vacation, emergency fund, just a lot of people do that, and I always love that. Just a very general emergency fund because you do that $84 a month, that gets you to around $1,000 at the end of the month, at the end of the year. That's great because it's something that You can use it for anything. If a car, car maintenance comes up, boom. If the kids need something, you forget that, oh shoot, they need new jerseys for something, or oh shoot, I forgot I said I would buy lunch for the team this day. You can just pull it out of that fund, which is a great option. But if you think about it, these are some pretty big expenses. 850 bucks, 900 bucks, let's say it's car registration. $500 for the holidays, a $1,500 vacation, $1,000 emergency fund. Those are pretty big expenses. And I know $397 a month is not cheap. Like that is a significant amount coming out of your paycheck. But if you think about $397, less than $400 coming out of your paycheck for all of these expenses on the left to be taken care of, it's something where at least you want to think about like the trade-off of yes, it might be stress, you might be cutting, payments and bills tight during the month. But then when those expenses come up, then you don't have to stress about it. So you're almost choosing, a different way to look at when you're taking on that stress or, dividing up. And maybe $397 isn't a lot to you. I mean, if you think about the stuff that we maybe spend on maybe that's that's not necessarily always the best expenses, or maybe do we really need that? Do we really need that new thing? The amount of times that we might say that during the month, that could be used towards maybe a saving goal. And sometimes, like I'll even do this where, and I know not everyone has the luxury of doing this, but if you get maybe a little unexpected thing, like maybe a tax refund that you weren't expecting, a lot of times I'll put it in my, savings or a savings goal that I have and just throw it in there. I wasn't expecting it, so it just goes straight into that save emergency fund that's just like, cool, I wasn't expecting it, so I'm gonna pretend like I didn't get it. I'm gonna just put it away and not think about it. And then when something comes up, like, oh, the daughter needs a something or the car seat broke, whatever it is, okay, cool. I have this nice little chunk of money emergency fund that I can now pull from. So again, just trying to break it up in ways that seem more manageable to attack some of those bigger savings goals. So, step four, set up your accounts and how you'll keep track of them. So, again, I want to keep it completely flexible, whatever works for you. Maybe it's on an Excel workbook, maybe it's pen and paper, like you see there. Maybe you're old school and want to do it that way. Totally fine. No judgment. I'm a millennial, but I do stuff on paper all the time. There's no judgment. There's no judgment. But sometimes maybe you can do it all through your bank account. I've seen people who do everything through an app on their phone. They have an app for that. They have savings app all over the place. Do a lot of bank accounts, you can see all your accounts and keep track of them. So whatever the system is, work for you. I mean, on iPhones, just a notes app, you can do a lot with them. You can do those little bubbles, you can keep track of them, you can put in charts on yourself, you can type in whatever you want, whatever works for you, whatever is going to get you to set them up and keep track of them. Um, so determine if you'll do complete separate accounts. So, I mean, honestly, what you could do is you could have a savings account through Capital One. You could have your main account through us at our credit union. You could have another savings account through Bank of America, or we don't really like banks, but I won't judge. But you could do it through other credit unions if you want, and keep them really completely separate so you're not looking at it. But a lot of times it's easier to just do those sub accounts that I was talking about. So if you are just to keep things a little bit more in one place, because sometimes, again, being realistic, are you really going to log into three different accounts and really be on top of keeping track? Like maybe if you're a certain type of person, if you're a type A person who loves planning, you might do that. But realistically, look yourself in the mirror. Are you going to be that type of person? Is it a little easier to just keep it all under one finance institution with sub accounts that you can look at all through a phone or all through your computer? Check it once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever works for you, and kind of keep track of that. Um, Consider higher yield options for longer term savings goals. So definitely, if it is going to be something that's big, like I talked about, you might have, realistically, you're probably not going to save up, especially in California, to buy a house in a year. It's probably going to be a multi-year process, maybe three, maybe five, maybe 10. Those are the ones that you're going to want to take advantage of, the longer term, the CDs, high yield savings accounts, maybe even a money market. But with smaller goals, you can probably just do those normal savings accounts. So I talked about this earlier. The the more you can automate, I know it's intimidating sometimes and technology is intimidating, but a lot of times your bank can do it for you or your employer can do it for you. You can tell your employer, hey, can you please, this is my bank account number, this is my routing number. Can you please route, $5 from every paycheck to this account, $10 here, or you can do it through the app. Like I said, you can call your bank if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself. Call your bank and say, can you set up this transfer every month for this much on this day of the month? You can do that. Absolutely. Not a lot of people take advantage of that. Not enough people take advantage of that. The more you can automate, the less you have to do, because what I always say to people is the take the burden off yourself. Don't leave it to yourself to remember all this stuff because our lives are busy. I know I have a 2-year-old daughter at home. I'm busy. I'm not thinking about always, oh shoot, did I make that one transfer? It's like the more I can automate, the more I don't have to think about, the easier. And again, that out of sight, out of mind, that goes into it as well. Not having to think about it, take the burden off your shoulders. Um, and then watch your savings grow and don't be afraid to use the funds when needed. That's what they're for. So a lot of people as well will get attached to that. I have this problem as well is you see the money going up and you're like, oh man, this excites me. I love this. I don't want to touch it now. And then an
Mhm.
expense comes up and you're reluctant to give in to taking that money away. But we just got to remember that's what it's for. It's for this reason. You don't want to be stressing, oh, I don't want to use this money for the savings. That's what, especially if it's what it's for, what it's intended for, that is the goal of this whole thing is being disciplined to try to save that money. So when those situations come up, you could just pick your feet up, say it's already accounted for. I don't have to stress about it. So it's about taking stress out of your life. Bonus steps, use extra money to help you reach goals sooner. So, like I talked about, I jumped ahead. Bonuses, tax refunds, different things like that that you might not have been expecting. We've all gotten those checks occasionally when so and so's in a lawsuit. There's always big companies in lawsuits. It's one of the bummers of our society, but at the same time, um, we'll get random checks in the mail sometimes for a data breach or something. It's $52 for $13 for Apple that had a data breach and got your data out there. We don't love hearing that, but when you get the check, it's not the worst thing when you get a free check in the mail. So different things like that. I mean, maybe it was a birthday thing, maybe it was an inheritance, maybe it was, I mean, anything. I mean, we don't. I wish we all got more bonus checks. We just get random checks in the mail, but those little things can help you with those goals. A lot of times we just deposit it, just say, oh, it's $13. I'm just gonna deposit in my checking account. But the next month you forgot it was in there. It's gone. We've used it for Starbucks. We've used it for other stuff. But the more you can, those bonus things that you weren't expecting. I mean, don't be afraid to treat yourself every once in a while. I will say that as well. But if you can just throw that out of sight, out of mind into one of those savings account, it helps you reach those goals quicker or save even more money than you were expecting. Because aside from that money you're setting away, there's also a little kind of bonus money that you're throwing at it. Um, a big takeaway today, feel free and don't be afraid or don't feel judged or ashamed to ask questions. And don't be ashamed to come into our credit union and say, I have never saved $1 a day in my life. Help. That is totally okay. That's what we're here for. Again, credit unions in general are going to be great. We also have, I've talked about many times if you've been on these calls before, is GreenPath. They're a financial wellness partner that we have. They will sit with people one-on-one for hours all times of the day, put a whole budget together for you, answer any questions. They have seminars, they have a million different resources out there. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. Even if you might feel judged, I promise no one in our office is going to judge. So I can't speak for other credit unions or banks, but no one in our office is judge because we understand. I mean, life happens. Not everyone came up the same way or was taught this. They don't teach this in schools. So don't be afraid about that. So as a perfect segue, shameless plug for GreenPath. We don't get anything from it, but it's just a free resource for you guys. It's a great option. They have a lot of tools that they can help with, and we've seen a lot of success from our members who use them. They will sit together and no matter what you want, if it's a growth plan, savings plan, if it's a debt relief plan, whatever it is, they will walk you through an individualized plan, step by step, whatever works for you. So it, again, takes off the burden, takes off the stress of what you guys have to deal with, and you have someone, a partner, because a lot of times we'll be in our own household and maybe our significant other doesn't know a lot about this, or maybe ourselves, we don't know a lot about this, and maybe both of us and our partner don't, have success in this, or maybe your kid wants to learn more, and we don't know where to start. That's a lot of times people stop themselves before they even start. So they're a great resource that I can't talk about enough. Um, so as I've talked about, they'll do credit report reviews, they'll home buyers counseling, student loan counseling, debt management plans, savings plans, whatever you want, they can help you with. Um, so this is their information. I'll leave it up here quickly. It's also on our website as well, but this is their direct line. Don't feel like you have to get it written down right now. If you don't have anything in front of you, you could reach out to me or Lisa. At Lisa can connect you with me after. Happy to provide you with any resources that you need from them. And then just to recap, pay yourself first. So obviously treat savings like a bill. That's a great way to look at it. So a lot of times the way that people work is we say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try to budget for this month, or I really want to start saving. So I'm gonna do my normal routine and everything, and then at the end of the month, oh man, I didn't have any money. But treat it like a bill almost. So if you do have $5, $10 coming out of your account and you've already set that to come out, that's like a bill. It's just like, how many 5, 10, $15 subscriptions do we all have? I guarantee you probably everyone on this call has at least one recurring subscription, whether it's gym, whether it's Netflix, Disney Plus. I'm a big fan of Disney Plus. It happens. Amazon Prime. The amount of things that we have could be Starbucks, could be a Sephora credit card. I've heard it all. We all have them. I totally get it. But treat it like a bill. It's no different. And this is the one that's gonna be actually getting a bang for your buck. This is going to be getting yourself money. Those other ones, you got to pay another company. So that's less fun. This is actually the fun one where you get to pay yourself.
Yeah.
So treat it like a bill, pay yourself first, of course, if you can, within reason. We know bills come up, but we're not talking about pay yourself before you pay the water bill. It's more of like pay yourself, and then on the last day of the month, if you don't have enough money to buy yourself a coffee, it might not be the end of the world. Some people, like my coworkers, maybe coffee is important, but just kind of thinking about it a different way. So start small. I've talked about this a lot. Make it manageable, make it attainable. Don't make it feel overwhelming. A lot of people don't get into it because they feel this whole mountain of I'm never going to be able to do this. How can I ever put $200 a month away? That seems preposterous. That sounds crazy, but $5, even a couple dollars a week, $2 a week. A lot of times that's $8 to $10 a month. On the year, that could be 120 bucks. I mean, like that could go a long way with, Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, whatever. Use direct deposits to automatically route a percentage of your check. So not only can you do set amounts, you can also do percentages. So you can say, I want to do 25% of my check here, or 3% of my check, or 1% here, and then 97% here, 2% here, whatever the percentage is that you want to. Really lean on your employer as well. Talk to them. Not enough people take advantage of that. A lot of the people in the HR department, that is their job. They have to offer it to you a lot of times. So make sure you're asking, be curious, ask the questions. Um, Definitely take advantage of that. Um, Avoid mixing savings with spending accounts. So again, that's kind of what I was talking about. If you have the normal thing of saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna put majority of my money in my checking account, and I'm gonna be swiping that every month," and then I've already set aside $10 in that account that I know I'm gonna put into my savings at the end of the month, but then you see that money and it's there, and you see Starbucks, you see somewhere else, and you're like, oh, but the money's there. So it's almost like we've talked about many times, set it and forget it. the more you can separate those and say, no, this is savings. It's easier for me to not touch this. This is checking. This is what I use for this. So when those lines get blurred, it's very hard to keep them separate. Review your budget every 3 months to adjust savings goals. So 3 months, you can do it as often as you want. You can reassess every week if you want, if that's what works for you. You can do it, every 3 to 6 months, a year. Obviously the more frequent, the better. But again, don't make it unattainable where you feel like that's not realistic for you and your timing, etc. So, so take a look at it every 3 months to adjust because situations change. If you're trying to save for a home, but you've changed jobs 3 times in the last years, your significant other has been in and out of work, or you've had health, something, or you got a car and you're trying to save for this savings goal, but now you have this car payment that's coming out. Feel free to adjust. Don't feel like you have to be stuck just because this is what you decided 3 years ago. If you want to change it because it makes more sense now for your situation, then totally do that. General tips for an emergency fund, start with at least 1,000. That's again, I don't want to say at least. A lot of times the target is 1,000, because that covers usually the bulk of a lot of realistic. Like if you have a $20,000 medical bill, it's probably not you're not gonna have a saving like an emergency fund that's that much unless you're making quite a bit of excess income. But $1,000 is a good amount that most big things like car repair or something like that can usually be taken care of. Um, and again, keep your emergency funds in a separate highly liquid account. Basically, highly liquid means very available. So you don't want to put your emergency funds in a CD that's locked up and you're going to not be able to take it out, or you don't want to put it in a stock market investing thing that you can't get it right away. Emergency funds are for emergencies, and a lot of times emergencies are not planned and they come up out of nowhere. So the quicker you can have that money available to you, the better, especially when it comes to amazing emergency funds. So this is my coworker Albert, who's given these talks before. He's someone who loves having fun, and he thinks that any sort of motivating name, anything that's fun, do it. If you have a little, even make it fun. Make your accounts based on character names from your favorite show, and what I mean, whatever you want to do. Your favorite sports team, Lakers, Dodgers, fun, whatever it is that is gonna get you motivated, or again, safety net, peace of mind, something that has something that you remind, or for the kids, or for my future, whatever it is, just something that's you're gonna see that and be like, this is why I do it, or this is makes me happy. This brings me peace. You don't want something that says savings or something that's like you better do this. I mean, maybe that is something you better do this. Whatever's gonna get you. Maybe you like that tough love. Maybe that is your style. But I mean, honestly, whatever works for you and is gonna motivate you to keep saving or make the reward even more rewarding, do it. That's up to you. You guys, if you need suggestions, we'll come up with something fun for you, but I'm sure you guys can do a way better job at that. So some of the things that we talked about, the different things, emergency funds, goal funds, sinking funds, similar to what we talked about, those can be a little bit more, especially the goals, those can be a little bit more the CDs, the money market. They don't have to be as liquid because you don't need them. If you're saving for a home, you don't need this for 3 years. It can be locked up. It doesn't have to be available for you to use tomorrow. If you are going to buy the home more recently, maybe you pull that out, make it a little bit more liquid. Um, so smart habits, save extra income, such as bonuses. We talked about that. This is all kind of recap. Um, and that's what I got. The game starts in 3 minutes, so I will be brief. This is our information. If you need to follow up in any way, definitely reach out. Albert is great. He also does these talks usually the week before I do them or the week after in Spanish. So again, we have someone in our office. We have someone that speaks Russian, Spanish, Armenian, English. We have a lot covered. So if you don't feel like you can't reach out because of a language barrier, anything else, we are all about breaking down barriers to entry, breaking down barriers. That's a huge thing about our credit union. So if you need anything, you reach out. I'm happy to sit with you one-on-one, talk, even if it's after hours. I'll make the time. Albert will make the time. I'll tell him to make the time. Don't worry. And this is also our address up here. If you don't know where we are, we're in downtown Burbank. If you ever want to stop in, just you can give us a call ahead of time or just walk in. We're happy to sit with you. Feel free to stop by. Just say hi. We're here to help. So appreciate your guys' time. I'll go back to that page really quick. Um, but let me see the chat. Yes, go USA. I love the soccer emojis. Thank you very much for that. I will be watching it with you guys. But thank you.
Uh,
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your night. I know it's after hours. We've probably worked during the day. So thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you so much,
Um,
Taylor.
and I appreciate Lisa and Home Again LA for having us as always.
All right, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Enjoy the game.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.